So I was sitting down the other day and I was thinking to myself, I was like, wait a minute. Why does the second selection do everything better than the NEL does? Anyways, so I thought of these few things to tell you guys why I think the second selection is a way better arc than the NEL. If you guys like this type of content, please make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get right into this. To be able to tell you why I think the second selection does better, I think I have to go through one thing that the NEL and the second selection also do pretty similarly, but I think the second selection clears in. Bro, the first thing that we get introduced in both these arcs is the new power gap. With Kaiser, we get a new Gen 11 striker, which Isagi has to defeat, and is probably one of the best strikers in under U20. And then with Rin, we get the top player in bluelock, undisputed, the top player, number one, while Isagi would be like rank 15 right now. So Rin is him. Now, how I feel these power differences are handled is completely different in the two arcs. Because in the NEL, Kaiser is like on Isagi's team. So it's kind of hard for Isagi to like surpass him like the traditional way by defeating him in a match like he did with Rin. So I feel like Isagi has easily, like, it's been a way easier task for Isagi to defeat Kaiser and, like, read his visions and, like, have better vision than him and be in the better spot at the better time, you know what I mean, than Kaiser. I feel like it's been easier for him to get to that level where he can think on the same level as Kaiser, whereas Rin. Because if you guys remember, Isagi had 2 whole matches against Rin. In the first one, he was completely outmatched. Like, no clue, like, what the fuck Rin was even doing to keep up with him. But in the second one, he was really only able to outsmart Rin by himself, like, 2 times. And that was when Batra shot it, and he ended up blocking it. And when he used the bicycle kick to score against him. Those are the only 2 times he was able to beat Rin. And Rin even acknowledged, he's like, yo, like, you know what, Adam, ever since I came to Blue Lock, you're the only person that's able to kind of surpass me, in a sense, my vision. You're the only person that's able to beat my vision once, which is pretty impressive for Isagi. But in my opinion, I feel like the second selection does this power gap jump a lot better than the NEL, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. The second selection is just way more like gradual about their power jump. I feel like in the NEL, we get the first match where Kaiser is just completely, like, way better than Isagi. We already know this. Like, he's a 96 overall, while Isagi's, like maybe a 90 or 80 something, right? But then in the second selection, we get, like, I think after Rin defeats Isagi, right? After Rin is way better than him, it goes to, like, the next games in the second selection, and we get a gradual level up from Isagi during those games. So the game against Baro, Isagi ends up leveling up at the end of that game. Then the game against Ryo and Kunigami, Isagi levels up to a new level that we haven't seen him before. And then even against Rin, Isagi ends up leveling up even higher. I feel like this level up for Isagi in the second selection is less like a less gradual one for every match. Because in the NEL, I feel like in the Bartra match, Isagi, like, he wasn't as shit as he was when he first faced off against Rin. You know what I mean? He wasn't as shit as that. But then also, we go to Manshine City, and so Isagi has his best game ever in the manga in Manshine City. Maybe his best game would be Uber's too, but Isagi's one of his best performances ever against Manshine City, where a game ago he was struggling to even compete with Kaiser's impact on the field. Which is why I'm just like, okay, like, it took one game for Isagi in the NEL to be able to, like, at least compete with Kaiser or be able to surpass his vision sometimes, or even think on the same level as him. I understand this is because he awakened metavision, but I just don't feel like him awakening metavision a couple seconds, like, in the match will allow him to think on the same level as someone who has metavision since who knows when. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. And then in the second selection, we get to see Isagi struggle from match to match, trying to get leveled up just a little bit to the point where he faces Rin, and he's still not on his level. He still needs somebody to help him to compete with Rin, like his teammates, Chigiri, Nagi, Baro. He needs those people to help him think on the same level as Rin. It's not just a gradual, oh yeah, I defeated those guys, I came back up, and now I'm on your level now. It's not like that. Now it's more like, okay, I'm using my teammates to help me buy time to think on your level, to figure out what you're doing, you know what I mean? And it makes a lot more sense that way. But anyways, I feel like the second selection really handled this power gap thing a lot better than NEL did. Moving on. Next thing I'd like to talk about is stakes. Now, the stakes in the NEL haven't been like clear to me yet because we know that the bottom people on the values list, they get eliminated. All the bottom people, I think from 20 something, get eliminated, right? So that is some stakes. Like there are some stakes, but I feel like if you perform really well in a match and your value goes up a lot, like you say you're already one of the top players and you perform really well in the match and your value goes up, there's almost no chance of you getting eliminated. So there's no stakes for most of our like best players, right? The only player that really has some like crazy like stakes and he's like one of our best players is Nagi. That's the only one. And I'm still positive that Nagi is not getting eliminated in the NEL. If he does, I just feel like that'll be a little bit of a waste for his character and his character arc that I think the author is trying to push right now, as of like the lazy genius turns into someone who actually has passion and doesn't want to get eliminated, you know what I'm saying, because of the impact bluelock has on him in his life, you know what I mean? And football has had on him ever since he came here. So I feel like, yeah, Nagi's, I think he's being set up for a character arc, and I feel it'll be a waste to remove him from the story. Anyways, now, like, I think, like, the stakes in the second selection were so much higher because in every match, you have to be the best player on your team. You have to be the best player even if you lose. If you lose, the best player is getting taken and our characters are going back around and they have to do that shit all over again. That is stakes. And then if you're not even the best player in the 2v2, then you're getting eliminated. Like, you're out. Following the elimination of Kunigami, bro, this arc was really great at stakes. I felt like every single match I was on my tips and toes because I was like, bro, I fuck with all these characters on both teams. I low-key do not want any of these characters to lose. And if they do lose, I want to know who's going to be chosen. You know what I mean? It's like very unpredictable on who's going to play the best on each team, which is why I like these games. They're very unpredictable. They have lots of stakes. You know what I'm saying? That's why I think of this like story. It's just like, unlike the NEL, it's just like every single match it has stakes. Like there's counts in every single match. Every single match, a team is going to change and the team is going to go get worse. Unlike the NEL, it's just like, yeah, we go and then we play Manshine City perhaps. We beat them, they lose, nothing really happens. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, whatever, they lost. I feel like this arc does lack a little bit of stakes in that regard. Unpredictability. Now, this is another thing that I have to say about the NEL is that it's painfully predictable. Not in the sense that the storyline is painfully predictable, like, oh, who's going to match up with who's going to do this during the match. I'm trying to say that the overall, like, scores of the match are usually predicted before the match even starts. Because I feel like that's a major thing of this 3-goal rule, though. The 3-goal rule inhibits you that, okay, the author's got to give these 3 players, because we haven't seen them in a while, he has to give them their own moment in the match every single time. So there's Kaiser, there's Isagi, there's Rin, and there's Shido. The 4 players he highlighted before the match started. We already know that all 4 of these players have to have a freaking impact on this match. They're the best players on the pitch. And it's just like, yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, the best player on the pitch is going to have his moment to score or something like that. But I also feel like that's a little bit just predictable. Because, you know, a lot of the times I can predict, like, okay, Shido scored. Now the next goal for PSG is definitely, like, 100% probably going to be Rin. And nobody else. I just don't feel like anyone else is going to score, but it's going to be Rin. That's it. And I'm just like, bro, what the fuck? Like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, PSG, a team with a lot of other strikers. Remember, these guys were all strikers in the beginning. And maybe they change their position now and play a different role on the team. But it's just like Rin's the only guy that can freaking score on the team. And I just don't like that. You know what I mean? I do not like that one bit. Whereas the second selection, the 5-goal rule is a lot better than the 3-goal rule. Because at first, we only have 3 players on our team. So some players are going to have to score twice in order for us to win. And that's where the unpredictability comes from, because we're like, okay, we're wondering, okay, Isagi already scored. Will he score again, or will it be Chigiri, or will it be Nagi? We don't know who the fuck is going to score next. And on top of that, we already seen in the second selection where Isagi ended up playing Rin for the first time, got dominated, then ended up playing Baro. It was a surprise that Baro even walked through that door. They ended up playing Baro. Baro came on their team. They barely beat Baro. Naruhaya hitting the post when he could have scored. Like, listen, I know that Isagi's team was meant to win that match, but it still felt like it had an unpredictable factor to it, like how the match was actually going to play out. You know what I mean? It still felt like that. Then the match against Rio, we see Isagi absolutely dominate. Ryoto was scary for the game. Like, we can't really predict those type of moments because we don't know what the fuck. Like, anyone can score at this moment. Shigiri's already had his moment in this match. Kunigami's had his moment in this match. Rio's had his moment in this match. All three of these players on the other team have already had their moment in this match. So now you're wondering who the author is going to give the moment to next. Which is why you're like, okay, I don't even know who could score next. You know what I mean? You don't even know. But that's the thing with the NEL, though. It's like, okay, it's only 3 goals, and usually there's only 3 good players on the other team who can really make a giant impact in scoring. So it's like, okay, yeah, this guy's gonna score, this guy's gonna score, this guy's gonna score. And if one of them has already scored, then that means another guy's gonna score next. Like, it is what it is. I mean, like, I feel like the 5-goal rule clears the 3-goal rule. And at least we forget the final nail in the coffin for the second selection is that Isagi ended up losing to Rin at the end. He ended up losing to Rin in the beginning of the arc, which sets up like a get back arc, you know, for him to climb back up and play him again. And then he ends up losing once again with this super team. Bro, that is super unpredictable. Like, you can't predict that shit to happen. If anyone tells me that shit was predictable to happen, like that shit should have happened, you're fucking lying. You're lying. There's no way you thought that as soon as Batra was on the break and Isagi stopped that shit, that it would bounce to Rin. You had no idea of knowing that shit. But anyways, we're moving on. The last thing I'd like to talk about is the creative structure of both arcs. Now listen, this is one thing I feel both of them do well at. I feel like the NEL did well at, you know, going to different clubs, like real clubs, seeing like kind of players there that we haven't seen before from different countries that are outside of bluelock. That's a very, very like entertaining type of like W thing to do. You know what I'm saying? And being up to 3 goals is really like my only real gripe on this type of system. But yeah, like if every game was up to 90 minutes and you just didn't know who the fuck could score or what the end score could be, that should be way better than 3-goal rule. Along with this club shit, you know what I mean? Like, that should be peak. It should be fire. But no, the author decided to go with the 3-goal rule. But anyways, I feel like the second selection's creative structure is better than the NEL's. Because first of all, you pick a team of 3. It could be any 3 players that we've seen so far in the first selection, you know, teaming up. Any like new players that we basically haven't seen at all, then teaming up. And we get to play against these players. See who performs well in the match, and then take one of those players on our team. An enemy becomes an ally. You know what I mean? And we play someone stronger. I feel like that's just a really good concept that the author came up with. And yeah, honestly, I feel like that clears the NEL's concept in my opinion. Even though they're both good, I feel like the 3-goal rule just weighs down the NEL's concept pretty down. Like, I like the whole clubs, real clubs, like players from outside of Japan coming to play. But, like, it's just like, bro, I don't feel like the 3-goal rule executes that very well. Like, lets it go wild. I don't feel like he lets the author go wild with that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. And yeah, man, don't know.